Our next thing to talk about was basically just the journos are coming after WoW.
Oh yeah, they really, really are.
We've got Cass, we've got Stephen Mesner, who turns out has actually been a long-time viewer of the channel.
Yep.
Which I'm sure is enough for certain actors to immediately discount everything he says. You know, given that we are apparently... We are apparently like 5D chess players.
We are horrendous people with tremendous planning abilities.
Imagine thinking we're that intelligent and competent.
I spent 30 seconds in this office. Opinions shatter like.
We're going to do a fun segment, everyone. But first, I have to start it off with an apology to Connell. Connell, I'm sorry. You are going to have to edit in the articles and post for the Clips channel. Because the capture card has given up the goose. So I just think it's worth talking about. And, you know, it's something I did cover on Allcraft. But basically there's this situation, right, where that cinematic came out. Now, if we're thinking about WoW cinematics, this one has actually almost overcame the N'Zoth one in terms of dislikes, which is pretty interesting. And I mean, our three most recent tiers with like raid end cinematics are, you know, N'Zoth. Castle Nathria didn't have an end cinematic, I guess. And of course, this one. So it actually means the two post-raid cinematics they've done have both been dislike bombed. You know, between Nyalotha and Cycle of Domination. Which honestly, I mean, man, it makes me sad because... I mean, I remember, like, I wasn't able to raid because I wasn't in a guild that raided at the time, but I just remember what it was like seeing, you know, Illidan open the portal to Argus, and you're just like, oh shit, boys, it's going down. Or the very next raid-in cinematic where you're like, oh shit, the planet's been stabbed, this is cool. You know, that's what it was like. And then, man, the modern ones have been troublesome. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because there is certainly disagreement. There's disagreement in the player base as to the storytelling, the lore, and the story. The sort of three pillars we mentioned earlier. And it does seem that Team Journalist has came down on the side of not really being big fans of WoW. So we've got the headline of PC Gamer, which is WoW's latest cinematic is a narrative disaster and players hate it. We've got Kotaku, WoW disappointment, mass exodus into FF14. We've got Polygon, Blizzard learned all the wrong lessons from the MCU. Turns out Cass is not particularly thrilled as many of us. I've been a fan of Blizz games since I was a kid. I love the pulp and drama of the settings, the polished cinematics, and bold characters. But over the past few years, I've become frustrated. And I just feel like Cass's journey is going to mirror quite a few WoW players, actually. Yeah, part of that is that, you know, I'm becoming older and less patient. Fair. But a big part comes with the games themselves. Shadowlands is a narrative mess that recently culminated in a big reveal centering around split souls, rewriting reality, and villain monologuing. Overwatch, on the other hand, is stuck in the past. We won't get to see the actual Overwatch organization until Overwatch 2, which does not have a release date. Both settings have got a comic booky vibe, bigger than life characters, and action-packed cinematics. But not in a good way. It's like Blizzard are learning all the wrong lessons from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's a bit like what I was saying with Zach and Rich back on Allcraft there, where it's like, imagine if Thanos got the Infinity Stones, like, you know, they weren't even a thing, really, and then 80% into Infinity War he gets them. And, you know, you didn't have the building up sense of, you know, Thanos has got one Infinity Stone, now he's very powerful. He's got another one, now he's very, very powerful. You know, Loki, beloved character, gets the absolute clean shite kicked out of him. Same for the Hulk. Where it's like, the way they did that was really good because, look, I don't really like the comic booky vibes. I don't really like the Marvel stuff that much. I mean, I don't like it in a way where I dislike it. It's just, you know,
It'll do, like...
I didn't grow up in comics. I grew up in, like, Lord of the Rings and science documentaries because I was a boring fuck with no friends. Yeah, you know, it's like, I have to give Marvel credit. Infinity War was a pretty tricky one to pull off, if you think about it from a high level, but they actually put the work in and they slowly built up to it. And then when the movie itself happened, like, I was coming there not as a big comic book guy, and I'm like, oh shit, the Hulk just got pummeled. This guy must be really strong. And then as Thanos got, like, you know, more and more of the Infinity Stones, like you did get that building up sense of like, oh shit, he's really powerful. And then they make the snap totally believable. Whereas with WoW, that's why we're joking like, oh dear bros, Matt, I hate to tell you, dude. I just found it out. He's got the sigils, bro.
He's got the sigils. I don't know what we're going to do with this.
I can't deal with this. Like, he has this ugly...
Bad times, like.
Yeah, he's got the wingdings. He's installed the font pack.
That's it.
He sucked the juice out of the leaders. I don't like that one.
Please.
But it's that thing where, the lore of him collecting the sigils could have been way better. Like, if those sigils were actually an essential part of the Eternal Ones, something like it's actually a part of their soul. In the same way that, they could have done it, right? That the Winter Queen, like, willingly gave up a part of her finite essence to get Ysera back.
Yeah.
And then Soval just comes in and basically kills her by taking the rest. Because it would have been established.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, was that anything to do with the fact that he got the sigil, or is it just all just,
Yeah, so
who knows?
Cass goes on to talk about the WoW moment, saying, playing World of Warcraft right now is a bit rough. There are fantastic stories in the game, like the Zandalar quests, or the Zone of Revendreth. That's, like, a lot of people loved, like, the political intrigue of Zandalar, what was going on there. For me, I just liked the cozy world building of parts of the Alliance. I just loved Borealis, and, those zones were lovely. Or the Zone of Revendreth, which, Revendreth does just sort of tell that, like, linear feeling story. But the main narrative feels it's held together around a few big moments that can be easily clipped into GIFs. Sure, it's super cool when the small cast of heroes fights the bad guy and fires off both rockets and one-liners, but it's also sometimes food. Right now, World of Warcraft feels like everything is set up around these big moments in the form of cinematics and cutscenes. The main story is there to set up a series of real cool story beats with little regard for whether they make much sense. And when the story doesn't make sense, Blizzard will just patch those parts up with the tie-in book. Sylvanas has essentially been the main character of WoW for 3 years. I still don't know what her exact plan is, or why she thought siding with a jailer was a good way to go about it. The last time I got a look at her internal thoughts was in the Battle for Azeroth book Before the Storm, and it was later retconned. What is that bit of Before the Storm that was retconned?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Probably the fact that it would not do the jailer or some shit.
Okay, chat, let us know if there's something there. Yeah. It might be slipping my mind because it was ages ago since I've read that book, and I've mostly just referenced the bits that have been sort of recorded some of the videos we've been writing. So, chat, what is that retcon that Cass is pointing out here? The jailer is apparently a master manipulator, but all I ever hear him say is stuff like, "Death comes from the soul for the soul of your world," or "I will crush you with my endless armies." Thanos' plan might not have made a lot of sense either, but at least he took a few minutes to explain his goals and reflect on him. And that's basically what I've been saying for a long-ass time. They are telling a movie or book story where you need to know what these characters' motivations are, but they're telling it in a game where we don't have complete information, so we don't, we can speculate and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, there is foreshadowing. Yes, you can speculate and work out this is all very, very logical, all makes sense, the motivations are probably all there, but you don't have it experientially in-game via the storytelling. And it's just that thing. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's satisfying or good. I think a lot of people are struggling. Some of the, super, super positivity defender camp are kind of struggling to get that bit. It's like, it's not that it's bad faith criticisms. It's actually people that do understand what's going on and don't think it's that good. And that's probably a bitter pill for that lot to swallow.
I think that's one of the most important parts. It's like, I guess it's not like we're like, this is beyond us. Like, the writing team is just doing, their bigs are too brain. Their bigs are too brain for you. Their brains are too big for you to possibly understand what it is they're doing. You just don't understand it. If you understood it, you would get it. If you got it, you would understand it. If you knew what Sylvanas was thinking, then you would appreciate everything. You're like, perhaps. But also, we haven't a clue. And this isn't some time shit. We won't go, oh, that cinematic is retroactively really emotionally gratifying now that we know what Sylvanas was thinking during the moment. That could happen. But that is not an excuse for what has happened already having happened. Yeah. Where we're going, well, what the hell is any of this? What on God's earth are the sigils? It's like, why are you trying to spike or strike fear into our hearts. Like, oh, be afraid. The big man you know nothing about has the things you know nothing about.
The chocolate has the sodules. Oh no!
Yeah, just the big man you know very little about has all of the things that you know very little about, and this is going to do something that you know very little about, but is very important. You're like, what? What do you mean? Like,
You just fucking killed me, dude.
yeah. So what do you mean? Just explain. Not even explain. Emotionally explain something. Give us reason to feel ways. Give us things to think. Don't just go, this is very emotional and we will tell you exactly why because we said so.
Yeah.
Like, well, nah. What does unmaking reality mean? I have no framework for it outside of...
We don't
anything?
know why he decided to betray his kin. It's like we just don't know enough to understand
he's just
him.
like, bah. Especially when he's got a big spiky head and he looks like the Drust, who are established bad guys. And he's an established bad guy. And the premise is going, you only got more malevolent in your stay in the Maw. Now we're like, well, that's someone to really empathize with. Someone who was malevolent and then became more malevolent. That is nail on the head
He
stuff.
angies, now he hella angies.
Like, basically, just like, that this man's going to unmake reality. We're like,
Oh no,
well,
not reality.
not reality. But what about the game? Oh fuck! It's so bonkers to me that like they ship this stuff and go, this. People are going to feel this one. Like, yeah, we're going to feel it. We're going to feel an immense. It's not. I don't even think there's an immense feeling. I think the apathy is the dangerous part.
Exactly.
Like, he's got all these. You're like, wow.
Yeah, and Cass goes on to say that they even indulge in things like post-credit stingers. I didn't know this, but Cass said, take the Overwatch cinematic at the end of the Storm Rising Archives event. Mercy asks if she can get an audience with someone, and then we see Talon leader Doomfist meeting with a new ally. The ally removes his hood, and it's a guy. If this was a Marvel movie, I'd either know who the guy is, or my buddy would go, oh, that's so-and-so from the comics. But in Overwatch, I threw my hands up. I don't know who the guy is. The entire scene means nothing without context. Sure, we can speculate, but when we can go years without answers, it's easy to stop caring. And that is the big thing. I think Cass is really hitting the nail on the head there, where, you know, if WoW had way more narrative content and a more aggressive patch cycle where, you know, we could reliably, you know, like, oh shit, we're going to find out super soon. And I think that they're relying on the Renown bar in the final stage of the Covenant campaign, because that is the one that's like the big business. You know, maybe we interrogate Sylvanas or something, and maybe Sylvanas will finally tell us. Like, I would actually just like this to be, what the fuck is going on with Professor Sylvanas?
Yeah.
Just give her a blackboard, give her a bit of chalk, and just let her just let her have at it, so we can all finally know. Because you know what? If Sylvanas actually explained everything, and then the trailer for patch 9.2 looked banging, people would probably be like, well, we got here in a very strange way, but I guess now that we know what's at stake in this new zone and the trailer looks really cool, yeah, it'll be fun. But we just, you know, I remember the WoW team being like, oh, Sylvanas is going to have her tell-all cinematic. And then she basically just reiterated to Anduin that she has plans we don't understand yet. That's not it.
Yeah, it's really weird to me because, like, based on what I've seen so far in 9.1, there are two distinct possibilities. And there's one of them, I'm not going to say which is more likely, because I think you might be able to intuit it. But the final cinematic, the final chapter, we don't know what's in it. We know it's called What Lies Ahead or something along those lines. But based on what I've seen so far, that's either going to be a huge exposition dump full of narrative and probably plenty of content to actually go ahead with. And we'll learn everything, we'll learn a load of stuff. And the other possibility, which is significantly more in line with the rest of, 9.1 so far, is it's going to be a couple decent lines of dialogue, an in-game cinematic, and some very mild content that sort of feels okay. Because that's what last week's stuff was like. It's like the Thrall and Draka stuff was alright. It was nice enough to kind of, to shine the spotlight on the fact that Thrall and Draka are, family as opposed to all the other stuff they've kind of let slip under the radar in terms of not addressing it. So at this point, I just don't have any any inclination to believe that what lies ahead will give us anything resembling an answer for anything.
Yeah, it's going to have to.
It's going to have to.
If it's going to work, it's going to have to.
But this is the problem. It's going to have to, but they didn't know that when they were making it. They know that now. They didn't know that when they were making it.
Yeah.
So it's made.
Well, I still, I do think that internally they just kind of think, oh, they'll get it when they finally see our grand design, they'll get it.
Like with Azerite armor.
Oh no, come on. They're covered in blood, lying on the ropes. Just fucking wailing.
Until that bell rings, you swing. Like, until the referee steps in, you swing.
Damn.
I mean, you're in it to win it, like.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know. I am vaguely hopeful that it is of some use, because otherwise there's no reason they didn't put it on PTR.
I really hope they've seen this coming.
The fact that they didn't put it on PTR gives me some vague hope.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's any number of reasons it wasn't on PTR.
To continue with Cass, next, it keeps getting bigger. You know how the Marvel movies start with Iron Man, who's, just one dude in a mech suit, and then the world around him slowly develops, culminating in a massive, sprawling cosmic threat? That was pretty cool. World of Warcraft is trying a similar cosmic threat, with the Jailer claiming the sigils.
The Shadowland sigils, proper nouns.
Yeah.
Proper nouns. Big, we going big.
It's a very Infinity Stones-esque plot, and I am so tired. In the early days of World of Warcraft, we fought factions like the Defiers Brotherhood or the Scarlet Crusade. These organizations naturally rose up in the aftermath of the war against the Burning Legion in Burning Crusade, and we... What?
What?
That wasn't Burning Crusade. No, mate, that's that's Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3. And soon we took the fight to the Legion and Scourge up in... We didn't fight...
I think Cass has structured this sentence incorrectly. I think that this has been structured incorrectly. It's like, soon we took the fight to the Legion and the Burning Crusade and the Scourge up in Northrend and Beloved Rathless King. I feel like
I'm going
to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say the sentence structure was a little bit wrong.
After killing a variety of big cosmic people in armor, fighting against gods and guardians has lost its shine, especially since the ante has been upped for every single guy. Sargeras was a massive threat who ended up stabbing the planet before he could take him out. The Jailer, the game's follow-up, Big Bad, has apparently been manipulating everything for decades behind the scenes. The entire culmination of 2003's Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne, is the Lich King, created by the Jailer, fighting against the Burning Legion, created and ran by the Jailer's secret agents. So, Cass knows the lore if Cass is picking up on that stuff. The Jailer says he's going to rewrite reality, and I kind of think we should let him do it. There's a lot to love about Blizzard's games and cinematics, but the overall narrative holding them together is buckling under its own weight. Overwatch 2 might be a great solution for the Overwatch franchise, but there's no similar silver bullet for World of Warcraft. I am hoping that once we wrap up with Shadowlands, we can reset the scale and go back to stories with clear beginnings, finite ends, and lots of information in the middle. Yeah. That said, Blizzard themselves did say that Shadowlands was basically our first step into the cosmos.
Can we
Please change plans, Blizz.
Yeah,
please. Please.
Yeah, can the next expansion be our 0th step into the cosmos? And the next one, the -1 step? We're actually moving backwards mathematically.
Just want to go home.
Yeah, I just want to have a wee seat in the forest somewhere. Be like, well, who wants me to kill a kobold for them? Like?
Yeah.